ರಾಜ್ಯಾಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾದ ದೊಡ್ಡವರು ಕಳಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮೊಂದಿಗೆ ಈಗ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಆದಂಥ ಅಬ್ದುಲ್ ಮಜೀದ್ ಅವರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗಿನ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಷಯ ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆದರೆ ಮೊದಲನೇದಾಗಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಈ ಒಂದು ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸೀದ್ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಚರ್ಚೆಗಳಾಗ್ತಿದೆಯಾ, ಯಾವುದೊಂದು ಆಘಾತಕಾರಿಯಾದಂಥ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ವಿರೋಧಿಯಾದಂಥ ಬೆಳವಣಿಗೆಗಳು ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಚರಣೆಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಿದೆಯಾ, ಈ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಲಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು, ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾವಂತಿಕೆ ಮೂಡಿಸುವ ಒಂದು ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಾಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ ಕಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೋರಾಟದ ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿಯನ್ನು ಆಗಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇದರ ಅಂಗವಾಗಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತದೆ. ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಷಯವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನೇರವಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಪ್ರಯಾಸವಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಯಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಒಂದೇ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವಂಥ ವಿಷಯವಾಗಿ ಮುಂದಿನ ಸೆಷನ್ಸ್ಗಾಗಿ ಅಬ್ದುಲ್ ಮಜೀದ್ ಭಾಯ್ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ
Good evening everyone. So English, Kannada, which one? So just before beginning this talk, a critical look on the verdict of the Babri judgment. I'll just use one mobile. I'll use this mobile because I didn't get the time to put it into my papers. I'll read this poem. So you can make out the background of this verdict, of the judgment. The name is Nyaya Mandira. ಆಹಾ, ಈಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ ಹೋಯಿತು, ಮಂದಿರಕ್ಕೆ ಜಾಗವಾಯಿತು, ನ್ಯಾಯಕ್ಕೆ 5 ಎಕರೆ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿತು, ಸರ್ವೇ ಜನ ಸುಖೀರೋ ಭವಂತು. ಅವರಿರುವುದು ಹಾಗೆ, ಕೇಳುತ್ತಾರೆ, ಕೊಡದಿದ್ದರೆ ಕೊಲ್ಲುತ್ತಾರೆ, ನಿಮಗೇನಾಗಿದೆ ದಾಡಿ, ಕೇಳಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟು ಶಾಂತಿ ಕಾಪಾಡಿ. ಇನ್ನು ಚಿಂತೆ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಸತ್ಯಕ್ಕೀಗ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿ ಪುರಾವೆಗಳ ಕಾವಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಸತ್ಯಾಪರಣೆಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಸಲೀಸು, ಕಾಯುವ ಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಣ ರೇಖೆ ಮೊದಲಿಗಿಂತ ಮಸುಕು. ಇನ್ನು ನಂಬಿಕೆಯ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ, ರಣಘೋಷಗಳೇ ವೇದವಾಕ್ಯ, ನಂಬಿಕೆಯಂತೆ ನಡೆದರೆ ಮೋಕ್ಷ, ಇಲ್ಲವೇ ನಿಜ ನಿರ್ವಾಣ. ಪುರಾಣ ಮಂತ್ರ ತಂತ್ರ ಕವಡೆ, ಜನಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ಅನುಗುಣವಾಗಿ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ಬಟವಡೆ. ರಾಮರಾಜ್ಯಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಸಮ್ಮುಖರಾದರೆ ನರಕ, ಸಹಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಬಾಳಿ ಸ್ವರ್ಗ ಸುಖ. ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ವಾಟ್ಸ್ ದ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಪೋಯಮ್. So November 9th, 2019, it was a day wherein the Prime Minister of India, who is the Prime Minister? Narendra Modi, he expressed his opinion saying that after the judgment was pronounced, he told immediately there was an inauguration program was going between India and Pakistan. Which is that program? Can anybody tell me which program was going on November 9th? The entire world, the Indian media, the Muslims, the Hindus, people from all communities were looking at the judgment verdict at 10:30. At the same time, there was another program was going on between India and Pakistan. It was the inauguration function of Kartarpur Corridor. Have you heard of Kartarpur Corridor? One Sikh temple, one Sikh temple has been, one guru was there in Pakistan, a place called Kartarpur, some 5 km distance from the Indian border. So he was busy with that inaugural function. At that time he told, warning the Indians as well as the world, Rahim Bhakti ya Ram Bhakti. Rahim Bhakti ya Ram Bhakti. सबसे बढ़िया है राष्ट्र भक्ति. This is one of the best judgment which I have seen in my life. Who told this one? Narendra Modi made a tweet and he was been addressing the public. So let me have a look towards you, with you, a discussion in respect of the Babri Masjid and Ram Mandir verdict. According to the historians, According to the historians, in 1528, the Babur, who was the ruler of Afghanistan, he invaded India in 1528. 450 years ago, he invaded India, and one of his commander by name Mir Baki. What is the name of the commander? Mir Baki. If you can follow me, then you can follow, because you are from the law of stream. This judgment will remain throughout the history of this world, history of this country, because 27 years, I don't know what all political things have taken place. Bharatiya Janata Party, who had only 2 seats, how many seats? 2 seats. One seat was in Andhra Pradesh and the other seat was from Gandhinagar, Lal Krishna Advani. They won in 1981. They had only 2 seats. In 1992, after this demolition, when there was a fresh election after the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi in 1991, that time also they had only 14 seats. Soon after demolition, their seat was increased to 89 seats. How many? 89 seats. So this Babri and Ram Mandir verdict, that has been divided not only the bodily Muslims and Hindus, it has divided us physically, emotionally and spiritually. So you should know this. Mir Baki in 1528, he came to India. Afterwards he had an invasion, and at a place called Ram, where the Ram is been supposed to be born, there he had constructed Ram Mandir, the Babri Masjid. 3 gumbas, 3 towers he had constructed. Did you get my point? Then afterwards, in 1628, Aurangzeb, who was a Mughal ruler, he started to offer prayers. He encouraged the people to go and do prayers, all those things in where? In this Babri Masjid. So that is the one part. Till then Muslims were been offering the prayers. But the real fact began in 1949. 1949. One Nair, who was the district commissioner of Allahabad, then that time Lal Bahadur Shastri, the former Indian Prime Minister, then that time he was the Home Minister of Allahabad, I mean Uttar Pradesh. That Nair, under his instigation, 3 Hindu idols were being kept inside the main gumbas of Babri Masjid. Ram Lalla's 3 idols were being kept in the where? On the main tomb of the Babri Masjid. This is the what the history says. Prior to that, in 1857, there was a communal clash between Hindus and Muslims in respect of offering the prayer. Muslims were offering namaz inside the masjid, whereas Hindus were doing puja outside the masjid. So British, in the year of 1857, they had put a fence dividing the Muslims to pray inside the masjid as well as Hindus to pray outside the masjid. 1857 is what is its own significant in Indian history. For what? Can anybody explain me? You please go. Can anybody say me 1857 has got its own significant? Why? Anybody loudly? The first freedom war is told to be done in the year 1857, but it is a history. It is not like that. The first independence fight was fought by Hazrat Tipu Sultan, not in 1857. Prior to that, maybe 50-60 years before itself, independence war has been taken place in the different parts. It is called Prate, it is called Samantas, it is called small territories. But the entire Indian people, it is said, under the leadership of whom? Bahadur Shah Zafar, Tata Tope from Maharashtra, all these people joined together. Bahadur Shah Zafar was the king. He was been hanged in Rangoon. He was taken to Rangoon. Presently, Rangoon is in Burma state. So, I will come again to the subject. Now, in 1857, the Britishers allowed Muslims to pray separately and Hindus to pray separately. Then also the matter was being very silent. In 1949, the idols were being kept inside the temple. And now, during the reign of Nehru, during the time of Nehru told Nehru told that let the Hindus start their prayer set where? Around this one, near the temple, that Babri Masjid. Actually, the highlight of this case is in 1989 there was a Shah Banu case. Can anybody explain me Shah Banu case? What is Shah Banu? What is Shah Banu case? Is there any student from final year law? Who is the final year law? Can you tell me about Shah Banu? What is Shah Banu? You don't know. You being a students of law, you should be very much thorough with the history, with the magazines. Yes. Law means it is a history. Shah Banu case is one. Can you anybody explain this? What is section 125 of Criminal Procedure Code? What is section 125 of Criminal Procedure Code? Section 125. What is that? Section 125 is a section wherein a woman can approach the court and she can claim maintenance with her husband. Can you follow me English or should I go to Kannada? You can follow. Understandable. So section 125 speaks that a woman who has been aggrieved by her husband, who has suffered by her husband, who doesn't have any means for her livelihood, if she has got children, if she is not married, the second marriage, she can seek maintenance before the court of law. That is section 125 of Criminal Procedure Code. In Shah Banu case, the Lok Sabha passed a bill stating that even Muslim woman is also entitled to claim maintenance from her husband. Till then, Muslim woman was being supported by the law of Sharia, and if she is divorced, if her husband is died, then she has to depend on what? Depend on mahar. At the time of wedding, the husband will give a certain amount of money, certain cash, certain gold ornaments. If at all, in the event of the death of the husband, if at all the marriage is been resolved, what is a marriage in Islam? What is a marriage in Islam? It is a contract. Marriage is a contract. And if the contract is winded up, then the woman has to take what? Idda. That is the mahar money. So, in Shah Banu, the Rajiv cabinet passed a bill. Even Muslim women can claim maintenance under section 125. So, the Muslim organizations, they started a ruckus in the parliament. Muslim MPs started shouting, this is a straightaway interference in the Sharia of Muslim law. So we are not accepting this law, they said. We are not accepting this law. I want to make a correction. Supreme Court made this law. Muslim woman is entitled for the maintenance. Then the parliament passed a bill that Muslim woman is not entitled for what? For maintenance. But it was being replaced again. So there was a big anti and opposition by the Muslim community, by Muslim leaders and all. Okay. So the Hindus had a negative opinion with the Rajiv Gandhi. They told Rajiv Gandhi is dancing according to the tune of whom? Muslims. So he is not supporting the Hindus. This time we are going to give and against vote. We were going to vote against the Congress party. So in order to please the Hindus, Rajiv Gandhi, he came and he opened the key of Babri Masjid. Till then it was locked. It was been locked. Rajiv Gandhi came and opened those keys. The doors were opened for the Hindus to go inside. Then the first election campaign of 1981 was began from where? From Faizabad. Faizabad, where Ayodhya is situated. He started his election campaign so that he wanted to give a direction. He wanted to please Hindus that I am a Hindu supporter, not a Muslim supporter. Till then this issue was not in the Keshava Krapa. What is Keshava Krapa? In Nagpur. Which is Nagpur? Nagpur is the area where RSS head office quarters are situated. Till then this issue was not been at all there. And now when Rajiv Gandhi started an election campaign from this place, there were only two MPs as I told earlier. They made a meeting in RSS headquarters. And in RSS headquarters, it was decided that only if we take this issue, which issue? Ram Mandir Babri issue, we can polarize the Hindu votes, we can polarize the Muslim votes. They thought of divide and rule. So in 1991, Rajiv Gandhi was been badly, he was been killed at Perambudu of Tamil Nadu in the election campaigning. One Nadi from Shivarasan, they became human bombs, they exploded themselves, and Rajiv Gandhi died. And in 1991, the first time in the Indian history, the Congress got 403 seats. How many seats? 3 seats, because of sympathy. Because of sympathy. Or else the situation would have been different. The BJP could have gained some 50-60 seats. And now Advani started a Ratha Yatra. He began a Ratha Yatra beginning from Faizabad, and he told, Mandir wahi banenge, Mandir wahi banenge. And wherever he went, he started giving provocative speeches. He started giving communal speeches, hatred speeches. Sadhvi Ridhumbara, Uma Bharati, Ashok Singhal, Vinay Katiyar, Murali Manohar Joshi, these were the people who were been supporting him. Even I would like to know, in Ramnagar there was a communal violence. Later then, Bangarappa was the chief minister of Karnataka. In Ramnagar there was a communal violence due to the arrival of Ratha. His Ratha had come to Mangalore, his Ratha had gone to Uttara Kannada, Uttara Karnataka, all parts, and people started to learn what BJP was. He told, Ram Mandir के राम लल्ला के जगह में बाबर ने आकर राम का जगह पे बाबरी मस्जिद को बनाया है. क्या आप इसको मान सकते हैं? ये हमारा अस्मिता का क्वेश्चन है, ये हमारा अस्मिता का सवाल है. जहाँ राम लल्ला पैदा हुआ उधर ही राम मंदिर बनाना चाहिए. This is what he said. Medias, electronic medias, print medias, intellectuals, people from different societies, communities, they started supporting Lal Krishna Advani. So soon after the election, the BJP seat was being increased for 89. There is another part. Vajpayee took the oath. He couldn't show the confidence. Then again VP Singh's rule was there. And when Lal Krishna Advani started the Ratha Yatra, the first time he was arrested by Lalu Prasad Yadav in Bihar. Second time he was arrested in Uttar Pradesh by Mulayam Singh Yadav. Samajwadi Party was ruling over there. And now I have told you 3 incidents: 1857, 1949, and now I come for the 1992, the incident of 1992. 1992, where I was studying in a college in my hometown, Vivekananda Law College. I have seen even my friends were been called to the stage and they were been garlanded. Some 10 to 15 my Hindu friends, they were been sent to Ayodhya. Ayodhya for what purpose? To do Kara Seva. To do Kara Seva. At that time, the Supreme Court questioned the Uttar Pradesh government. What is the Kara Seva? What is Kara? What is Seva? Kara means puja. Seva means service. We are doing a puja. We are doing a puja. We are not going to demolish the. Which one we are not going to demolish? We are not going to demolish the mosque. And the Supreme Court said, if this is the case, you have to give me affidavit in writing. Then the Uttar Pradesh, Kalyan Singh was the chief minister. Kalyan Singh was the chief minister from BJP, Bharatiya Janata Party. Kalyan Singh was the chief minister of Bharatiya Janata Party. He gave an affidavit to the Supreme Court stating that at the time of puja, we are going to only conduct a puja, not any kind of other things are going to take place. No other illegal activities, no trespass, no demolition of building, all these things were being told. Then, Bal Thackeray, the leader of Shiva Sena, his 5,000 to 10,000 Karyakartas, party workers, and the BJP Karyakartas, the RSS Karyakartas, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bajranga Dal, RSS, and Durga Vahini, all the party cadres and workers, they travelled in a train towards Faizabad, and on December 6th, the Kara Seva began at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock the Kara Seva began, and unfortunately, that the then Prime Minister, Narasimha Rao, he went inside his room and he sat for the puja. He started doing puja. At 9:30 the demolition began. It is said even bombs and dynamites were being used for the demolition of such a big building. It was a giant building. It had 3 domes. It is not possible to demolish only by the rods, sickles. It is not possible. It is said that even dynamites were being used. 1 or 2 had been died according to the RSS sources. And by afternoon 2:30, 3:30, the entire masjid was being made shaheed. I don't say it is a demolition. It was a shaheed. Nothing remained. Immediately, the Bajranga Dala people, they kept one Ramlalla's idol and started puja there. Started the puja. This is what happened in 1992. Then aftermath what happened? Very immediately, the people who went from here to Ayodhya, they returned. They were on the way. In entire India, there was a curfew-like situation. Even in Bangalore and district, there was a curfew. You might be have born after 1992. You may be the generation after the 1992s. You don't know what 1992 was. No such incident in India has ever happened. I knew, even I have heard from Bhishma Sahani's literature. I have seen his TV serial about the division of India-Pakistan. Of course, there was genocide, there was murders, there were killings. When India and Pakistan were being divided, a group of Hindu Muslims were being migrating towards Pakistan and a group of Hindus were coming towards India. At that time, from both sides, there was a big bloodshed. But it was been stipulated only to a particular point, only at their borders. But this time it was not like that. In Mumbai, the women, Muslim women who were been wearing parda, who were been inside the house, the Shiva Sena Karyakartas, they identified. They were being pulled from the house, 50 to 60 to 100 Karyakartas. They used to bring a woman like a deer on the road. They raped her. She was being brutally murdered. And the husband, in front of the husband, the wife was being raped. In front of the father, the daughter was being raped and she was being killed. They burned many streets. They went inside the Dharani area. They went inside the Mumbra. And all many places where Muslim majority was been dominating and many were being killed. Even the people feared to go to the masjid. The people of the old senior people who were having a beard and topi, their heads were beheaded on the main street and their dead bodies were being found in the gutters. After the 1992 massacre, the 1992 demolition. But retaliation from Muslim side had never happened. Even there was CRPF, Central Reserve Police was being deployed and the Central Reserve Police were also being targeting only the Muslim mohallas. And let me make it clear, there were processions. Even in the middle of the curfew, there was a victory procession, Vijay News. They started going to Muslim areas. They burned the Muslim areas. They poured petrol. They poured kerosene. Muslim viewers were being targeted. Muslim youths were being killed. Immediately, soon after this incident, the Narasimha Rao government introduced a new draconian law. Which is that law? TADA. Terrorist and disruptive activities. TADA. What is the main feature of TADA? If a person is arrested in TADA activities, he is not entitled for bail for 2 years. How many years? 2 years. No bail for him. So the Narasimha Rao said, this act will never make any partial. There won't be discrimination in the name of religion, race, caste or creed. But there was a huge discrimination. Only Muslims will be targeted. In 1992, many Muslims were being sent to jail. And this is the 27th year after the demolition of the Shaheed of Babri Masjid. Now those youths are coming out of the jail. Friends, they are coming now out of the jail. The youth was being arrested at the age of 20. After 27, what will this age? After 47 years he is coming. 47 years he is coming. He has lost his youth. He didn't get married. He didn't get any siblings. He lost his family. His old parents who have been there at the time when he went to jail, they died. He couldn't have a last visit of their funeral. All these things have happened during this time. Then the draconian laws were taken into place. Tata was being abolished, Kota, Koka, Moka. So let me talk to you some other day about that draconian law. So after this, the matter was being referred to the Allahabad High Court. Allahabad High Court. There were 4 parties: Nirmohi Akhada, Sunni Waqf Board, Shia Waqf Board, and Ram Lalla. That is Babri Nyas Mandir. So the Allahabad High Court, 6-7 years, 10-11 years ago, it made a division. For 4 people, it gave a equal share. Nirmohi Akhada. The total land consists of 2.77 acres. 2.77 acres of land. It made a equal division between the 4 groups. Then the Muslim Personal Law Board and the Muslim Sunni Waqf Mandali, they were not satisfied with this law, this judgment, so they approached the Supreme Court. Supreme Court, this litigation was been pending in Supreme Court from this 9 years, and now the Supreme Court has given a judgment on November 9. Only the number is been changed. December 6 was the demolition, and November 9 was the 6. If you write ulta, it will become 9. So on November 9, you should remember the first announcement for the demolition of Ram Mandir, for Babri Masjid, was made in 1989 by Vishwa Hindu Parishad in Uttar Pradesh on November 1989, November 9. And the same, it may be accidental, but on the November 9th, the judgment was being pronounced by the court. What is the judgment now? What is the judgment? There was an archaeological report. The archaeological report, there was a member called M.A. Muhammad. Rest were all Hindus. According to the archaeological ASI, Archaeological Survey of India, from here the judgment begins. Archaeological Survey of India, it has given a report to the Supreme Court stating that there were some structures beneath the masjid. There were some structures beneath the masjid. But I am unable to say whether these structures are of a Hindu temple. You understand what I am saying? I am not definite to say these structure belongs to a Hindu temple. This report was being submitted before the Supreme Court. And now, Ramanyasa, this Ram Lalla, they came with the affidavit. What is their affidavit? Strange. As a law student, you should know. An individual can file a case. Who can file a case? Who is the individual? Section 2. What does it say? Who is the individual? You are law student. You are from law. Who is the individual? A person, a society, and what you read? A person, a society, a group of organization, individuals, a family, they can file a suit. Can a god be called as a person? Can a god be called as a person? Now a god is filing affidavit. Sri Rama is filing affidavit before the court. What is filing? Dear sir, I say that I am Ram Lalla. Who is saying? Ram is saying. Non-existence of a god is saying before the court. I say that I am Ram Lalla. I was born in this place where that gumbaz, the middle gumbaz is constructed. So I am swinging in the cradle. You know cradle what is it? So this is a place where my mother Kaikeyi, she started to swim me in that cradle. And I don't have any place to sleep now. I don't have any place to play. I don't have a place to stay. So give this mandir to me. Who is asking? Rama is asking before the court. This was the only one application by Sri Rama Nyasa Mandali in the name of Sri Ram Lalla. Sunni Waqf Board, they had a lot of documents, more than 5,000 to 10,000 papers. They went with these papers to the Supreme Court. And now Akhada, Nirmohi Akhada, they also started saying it is also a part of Hinduism. They also asked for a share in the property. Shia board also asked for a share in the property. 5 judges, designated judges were been sitting on the table, on this table. Who are all they? Justice Chandrachud, Justice Bobde, Justice Ranjan Gogoi was the Chief Justice, then Nazir, then Justice Ramana. They were the 5 distinguished judges who have been presiding over this table. There are 5 benches and 7 benches. Now the pattern has been taken before the 5 benches. Prior to that, a situation was being made in the entire country. Before that, a situation was being made. What that type of situation? There were a huge number of lynchings. Lynchings were being committed in India. Do you know what kind of Akhlaq was being lynched? Pehlu Khan was lynched. Nasimuddin was lynched. Junaid was being lynched. And even Tabrez Ansari was being lynched. There are 50 to 30 cases all around. Where the FIRs speak, they are weak. They doesn't go to the court of law. So there were a kind of fear psychosis was being built in the mind of the Muslims, saying that if you question, you will be jailed. If you question, you will be killed. If you question, you will be lynched. This kind of psychological things were started to give. And whoever there were the activists, like Anand Teltumbe, Veena Warrior, Sudha Bharadwaj, Narsimhamurthy later on. So many people who were Dalit activists, they were being detained in the jail. So this the entire ground was being made fertile. According to their will and wish, the judgment was being pronounced. The most surprising fact is, before the announcement of the judgment, Ranjan Gogoi himself is speaking to the DGP of Uttar Pradesh. He is doing a phone call to the DGP of Uttar Pradesh and is directing there should not be any problem of law and order in Uttar Pradesh. This is a tamasha of the law. The Ranjan Gogoi, the designated district, the High Supreme Court judge, he is telling the DGP of the IG of the Uttar Pradesh, see that the law and order situation never spoils. Immediately, the situation was being made out and finally the judgment was given. According to the judgment, the court agreed in 1528 that masjid was being built. The highlights of the judgment was in 1528, Babur had invaded India, he had constructed the masjid. But empathetically, the court denies there was no demolition of any temple, alhamdulillah. No temple was being demolished by the Muslims. Masjid was being constructed. And now, then again the court says, of course, the Archaeological Survey of India has given their opinion. We do consider, we do agree. But the construction which is been found beneath the underground of the masjid, it doesn't indicate that they are the structures of a temple. So we can't say that there was a temple in existence at the time of the construction of the Babri Masjid. This was the second thing. And again, the court denied to accept our argument that Babri Nyas Mandali, they said that from 1857 till 1949, we were been performing the namaz, we were been visiting there. But the court said, no document is there in your hand to prove your claim that you have been performing namaz in the masjid for a period of 1857 to 1949, maybe some 100 years. Yeah, maybe around. So this was another claim. And now the Supreme Court said, para number 769 of the judgment, para number 769 of the para of the judgment, Supreme Court says that we are giving this judgment not on the grounds of the belief. We are giving this judgment not on the grounds of the belief. We are giving this judgment on the grounds of the evidence. What is that evidence? What is that evidence? Ram Lalla. We are giving this judgment on the grounds of the evidence, not on the belief. But in fact, the entire judgment stands, it has been built up, it has been delivered only on the grounds of the belief. And now, afterwards, the Supreme Court says, now we are going to act under Article 142 of Indian Constitution. What does Article 142 of Indian? I have asked you yesterday. Somebody I was been asking. For you I asked. What is I think you are the students of Constitution. What is Article 142 says of Indian Constitution? Article 142. What does it say? Okay, I will tell you. I will explain. Article 142. Article 142 says that the Supreme Court has got its own discretionary power. Its own discretionary power. And now in this case, there is a dispute between Hindus and Muslims. There was no dispute between Hindus and Muslims. Hindus never claimed to be Ram Mandir. It was Bajrang Dal, it was Vishwa Hindু Parishad, RSS, Durga Vahini. These organizations claimed no Hindus were been after this. Article 142 says that if at all there is such kind of problem, it is in wider sense. It says that a person has to be produced if there is a doubt. The government can make certain rules and regulations. As per Article 142, the Supreme Court has some decision. According to that decision, the Supreme Court told that within the radius of Ayodhya, within the town limits of Ayodhya, 5 acres of land should be given to the Muslims. What was our claim? What was our claim, sister? What did we claim? Brothers, what did we ask? What did we ask before the Supreme Court? Justice. We asked justice. We had a title. We had a title and we were demanding for the land. But we got it was like a begging. Bhiksha bedtaralva. Bhiksha beduva. This was a dana bhiksha. We went and we were given 5 acres of land within the, out of that 2.77 acres. Out of that 2.77 acres, Muslims were being given the land to construct a masjid. This is the facts of the case. And now the question here arises is, a mosque was been there for 500 years. The Supreme Court has admitted it. Now imagine, the mosque was been not demolished. It didn't have, there was no shahid of the masjid. What would have been the judgment? What would have been the judgment? Masjid ali ide. Judgment enagti. What would have been the judgment? To demolish the masjid, whether the Supreme Court have been had that much of capacity or that much of guts to say that the masjid has to be demolished. Okay. Now I am asking. In 1992, there was a shahid of the masjid. Masjid was being demolished. Where is the punishment? Where is the punishment? From 27 years, the victims are going from post to pillar. They are going to the courts. They are going to the stations. The charge sheets have been filed in enormous numbers of paper. 50,000-60,000 papers of charge sheets have been filed before the Faizabad court. Where is the evidence? Where is the witness? Why the witness are not called? Why Lalkrishna Advani is been not summoned? Why Uma Bharati is not summoned? Why Murali Manohar Joshi is not summoned? There are video evidences where Uma Bharati is screaming and shouting, "Ek dhakka aur do, Babri Masjid ko girao." Soon after the demolition, soon after the Shahid, she started dancing in the stage. Have you seen 1992 videos? Have you seen? Have you watched it? The people started to shout. There was a victorious hue and cry among the people. From 27 years, no action, no evidence has been taken place. And I would like to say, in 1993, there was a bomb blast in Mumbai. Have you heard of Mumbai bomb blast? According to some experts, political experts say that it is a revenge, action and reaction. There was action of the demolition, so there was a reaction, bomb blast by some Muslim organization in Bombay. And out of that, the police paper has been filed and it says that Tiger Memon, Yaqub Memon, Dawood Ibrahim and all others, Asghar Ali, all others, they are the accused people in this case. However, Yaqub Memon had came to India. He was in Pakistan. He came to India with the assurance by the government that if you come and face a prosecution and if you face a trial, you won't be hanged. Who told? The Indian government promised him. He came to Kathmandu airport. In Kathmandu airport, he surrendered before the CBI. He was brought to India. That trial took place, and nowhere in the entire episode of 1983 bomb blast, there is no iota of evidence to show that Yaqub Memon was involved in this bomb blasting. He was in Dubai then. He was a chartered accountant. He had a great assurance and he had a great trust and fight over the Indian system of law. So he came, but he was being hanged to death. 1993, action ka reaction I told. Which is the action? 1992, demolition. Which is the reaction? 1993, judgment has come. He has been hanged. What about Afzal Guru? Afzal Guru, who is a lecturer, who was a teacher, he was a poet also. He had a small child, he had a wife, old age father and mother, who was a lecturer, a teacher. I am an advocate. Do I give some prohibitive speech? Do I tell that the Indian constitution is not correct? Do I say you take a revolt against the government? No, we don't. We are educated people. We are graduates. We are lawyers. So what we say, we should walk along with the Indian constitution. We should respect. There is the peace and harmony. But the Supreme Court, there was an attack on the Parliament. In the Parliament attack, nowhere there is an iota of evidence to show that Afzal Guru was a person who had been involved in this incident. But the Supreme Court, after all the trial was been over, his case came before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says the majority opinion has to be respected. It should be considered. So I ordered you to hang till death. So you are my brothers and sisters, I would like to ask you, you show me one sentence in CRPC, in IPC, in Indian Evidence Act, or in any criminal law. Is there any scope for the fight? Is there any scope for the fight? So soon after this judgment came, I told my friends, law is a fact. Law is a fact. Justice is an abstract. What is abstract? What is abstract? It is a mithya. It is of apprehension. It may be there, may not be there. Law is there in books. Law is there in the courts. Law is there in the police station. But when you go for the judgment, such kinds of judgments that we see here, and what I feel is, if I say in Kannada, the opinion of Supreme Court is, nangeella gottu, I know everything. Sorry, nange ಏನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. Sorry, I can't do anything. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವ್ರು ಬಿಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು ಬಿಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ? ಹೊರಗೆ ಟೀಮ್ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ. Only one thing is, what this judgment shows is, might is right. Who has got the power in his shoulders, he is right. Another one thing, one appreciation is there. The Supreme Court appreciated that no Muslims will demolish any temple. That was one of the good aspect which we can see in the this judgment. So it is more than luminous, 1500 pages of judgment. I got some time, and from between the lines I have read. So my friend called me. So even I was planning to make an article on writing this one. And disregard S.K. Ganguly, he also commented. He has expressed his dissatisfaction, saying that this is not a proper way of giving the judgment. Because the Supreme Court agrees there was a mosque for 500 years. 500 there is a mosque. Then why you give the land to them? Why you give the land to the Hindus? You say that Muslims did never demolish the temple. Then what is the need of giving a place for the construction of the temple? Only this was a compromise between the justice and the peace. In order to maintain peace, the justice was denied to whom? To the Muslim community. So if you have got any question, sir, I think I took some 30 minutes to talk to you. Okay. So any questions you can ask. Okay.
ಇಂಟ್ರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಈಗ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಈಗ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸೀದ್ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಸವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾದ ಒಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ಅವರು ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಒಂದು ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ಲಾ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ರೋಲ್ ಏನು, ಈ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ರೋಲ್ ಏನು ಎಂಬ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವಂತ ರಾಜ್ಯಾಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ಪ್ರಯಾಸ.
ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಕಾನೂನು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು, ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಅಬ್ದುಲ್ ಮಜೀದ್ ಅವರು ಕೇಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸವಿಸ್ತಾರವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನು ಮಂಡನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಡಿಸ್ಕಸ್ ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೊದಲು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಿಚಾರಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಮಾತಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಒಟ್ಟಾರೆಯಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಇದನ್ನು ನಡೆದಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದು ಜಾತ್ಯತೀತ ಭಾರತದ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಹ ಮೊದಲನೇ ಪೆಟ್ಟಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದಿನ ಒಂದು ಕಟ್ಟಾಯ. ನಮ್ಮ ಜಾತ್ಯತೀತ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಪ್ರಿಯಾಂಬಲಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ. ಆದರೆ ಈ ಡಿಮಾಲಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಎ ಮಸ್ಜಿದ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಮಸೀದಿ ವಿಚಾರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ನಂಬಿದಂಥ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ವಿಚಾರ, ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ದೇಶದ ನಾಗರಿಕರ ನ್ಯಾಯದ ವಿಚಾರ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅಷ್ಟು ಈಸಿಯಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ತೀರ್ಪು ನೀಡಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಬಿಟ್ಟುಕೊಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದರೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಏನು ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶಗಳನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಲೆಗೊಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಆಶಯಗಳನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರಿಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಆಶಯಗಳನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಉಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅದೇ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಆಶಯಗಳಿಗೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿ, ಅದೇ ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ಕಾನೂನುಗಳಿಗೆ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಜಡ್ಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗ ನಾವು ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ಅವಲೋಕನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ ಮತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೋರಾಟಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಏನು ಏನು ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದಿನ ಒಂದು ಮೊದಲನೆಯ ಒಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ನಾವು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ, ಬಾಬರ್ ಅವರ ಆಡಳಿತ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಂಭವಾದ ನಂತರ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಜನರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಮಸ್ಜಿದ್ ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಆ ಬಾಬರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಏನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಮೀರ್ ಬಾಕಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೈಗೆತ್ತಿಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ಈ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದನ್ನ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಸಂವಿಧಾನ ವಿರೋಧಿಗಳು ಹೇಳುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಾಬರ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಫಾರಿನರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಬಾಬರ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ರಾಜ ಕಾಬೂಲ್ನ ರಾಜ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಕಾಬೂಲ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದ ಭಾಗ. ಅವತ್ತು ಕಾಬೂಲ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಭಾರತದ ಭಾಗ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಏನು ಅಖಂಡ ಭಾರತ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥ ಇದೇ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು, ಬಾಬರ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಫಾರಿನರ್ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಆ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದನ್ನು ಆರಂಭ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಆ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದಿಯ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ ಒಬ್ಬ ಫಾರಿನರ್ ಆದಂತಹ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಗ್ರಹಂ ಪಿಕ್ಫೋರ್ಡ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದೊಂದು ಅವಧನ ಒಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟರಿಕಲ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಮೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕೂಡ 60 ಮೀಟರ್ ವರೆಗೆ ಕೇಳುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತಂತೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನೇತೃತ್ವ ಕೊಡುವಂತ ಖದೀಬ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಸಣ್ಣ ವಯಸ್ಸಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಳುವಂತ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಕೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಬೆಳಕು ಬರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸೀದಿಯನ್ನ ಬಾಬರ್ ಹೆಸರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಿದ್ರು ಅಥವಾ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದರ ನಂತರ ತುಂಬಾ ಇತಿಹಾಸಕರು ಬಂದಾಗ ಅದನ್ನ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ರೀತಿಯ ಅದನ್ನು ವ್ಯಾಖ್ಯಾನಿಸಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ಏನು ನಿರ್ಮೋಹಕಗಳಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ಯಾವುದೋ ಏನು ರಾಮ ಅಲ್ಲದ ಪರವಾದಿಗಳು ವಾದಿಸುವಂತ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಮ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನು ಹೇಳುವುದಾದ್ರೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಮ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಖಂಡಿತ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಇತಿಹಾಸಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದಲ್ಲಿ ಇತಿಹಾಸಕಾರರಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. ಶ್ಯಾಮ್ ನರೇನ್ ಪಾಂಡೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ 1992 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ಸಿಯಂಟ್ ಜಿಯೋಗ್ರಫಿ ಆಫ್ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಪುಸ್ತಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ರಾಮನ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿ ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದ ಹೆರಾತ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಇತಿಹಾಸಕಾರ ಬರೆಯುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 1997 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ಪಾಂಡೆ ಒಂದು ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಹಿಸ್ಟರಿ ಪೇಪರ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ರಾಮ ಡಿಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ವಿಶ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಗಾಡ್ ರಾಮ. ಹಿಸ್ಟಾರಿಕಲ್ ರಾಮನೇ ಬೇರೆ, ಏನು ದೇವರು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ರಾಮನೇ ಬೇರೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಇದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ರಾಮನ ಜನ್ಮನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಇದೇ ರಾಮಚರಿತ ಮಾನಸ ಬರೆದಂತಹ ಕನಕದಾಸರು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆ ಎನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ರಾಮಚರಿತ ಮಾನಸದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆ ಅಂತ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆದ್ರು ಕೂಡ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆಯಲ್ಲೇ ರಾಮ ಜನ್ಮ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಎಲ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಬರೆಯಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರು? ಕನಕದಾಸರು. ಈ ರಾಮಚರಿತ ಮಾನಸ ಬರೆದಂತಹ ಕನಕದಾಸರು. ಇದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲ್ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ವಿಚಾರಗಳಿದೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ, ತುಂಬಾ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಆ ವಿಷಯಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಸರಯೂ ನದಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಸರಯೂ ನದಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಇರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ವಾದ ಇದೆ. ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯೆ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಸರಯೂ ನದಿಯ ದಂಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು, ನದಿ ಹತ್ತಿರದಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸರಯೂ ನದಿ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಫ್ಘಾನಿಸ್ತಾನದ ಹತ್ತಿರ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ವಾದ ಇದೆ. ಇದಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲ್ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನ ಮೂಲಗುಂಪು ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನ ಇವರು ಬರೀತಾರೆ. ಯಾವ ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರು ಬರೆದಂತ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು 1857 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. 1857ನ ಆ ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು, ಅವಧನ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು, ಫೈಜಾಬಾದ್ನ ಅವಧನ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮತ್ತು ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಹೋರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಇಬ್ರು ನೇತೃತ್ವ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಯಾರಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮೌಲಾನಾ ಅಮೀರ್ ಅಲಿ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಮ್ ಚರಣ್. ಮೌಲಾನಾ ಅಮೀರ್ ಅಲಿ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸಿದ್ರೆ, ರಾಮ್ ಚರಣ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿನಿಧಿಸಿ ಒಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಹೋರಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಆಗ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಅರಿವಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಯುನಿಟಿ ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಮುಂದುವರೆದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಕೆಲಸ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಏನು ಸುಳ್ಳು ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ಅವರು ಸೃಷ್ಟಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಒಬ್ಬ ಆಫೀಸರ್ ಆದಂತ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಆಫೀಸರ್ HR ಲೇವಿಲ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥವನು ಫೈಜಾಬಾದ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಟ್ ಗೆಜೆಟರ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಂತ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವಧನ್ನ ಅಯೋಧ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಪರಿವರ್ತಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ರಾಮನ ಜನ್ಮಭೂಮಿಯಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಬಾಬರಿ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಡೆಮಾಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ನಂತರ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮಸೀದಿಯನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಈ HR ಲೇವಿಲ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಂಭ ಮಾಡುವುದು. ಇದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಮುಸಲ್ಮಾನರು ಮತ್ತು ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷರ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನ ಗಮನಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅವರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಸಂಘರ್ಷಗಳನ್ನು ಹುಟ್ಟುಹಾಕಲಿಕ್ಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಇಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸುಳ್ಳು ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನ ಇತಿಹಾಸವಾಗಿ ಮಾರ್ಪಡಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡುವುದು. ಅದರ ನಂತರ ಆಗಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ. ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ವಿಚಾರವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಮತಾಂಧರು, ಹಿಂದೂಗಳು ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹಿಂದೂ ಮತಾಂಧರು, ಹಿಂದೂಯಿಸಂನ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಿಸುವಂತ ಹಿಂದುತ್ವ ಮತ ಹಿಂದೂಯಿಸಂ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹಿಂದುತ್ವ ಮತಾಂಧರಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ವಿಚಾರಗಳಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ನೋಡಿದಾಗ ನಾವು 1946 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತೀಯ ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಮಹಾಸಭಾ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸಂಘಟನೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆರಂಭ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತಲೂ ಮೊದಲು ಒಂದು 1885 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ರಘುಬರ್ ದಾಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಹಿಂದೂ ಪ್ರೀಸ್ಟ್, ಒಬ್ಬ ಹಿಂದೂ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ರಾಮನ ಒಂದು ಆರಾಧನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂತೇಳಿ ಅವತ್ತಿನ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಕೇಳಿದಾಗ ಆ ಒಂದು ಅಪೀಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರ ನಂತರ 1946 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಖಿಲ ಭಾರತೀಯ ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಮಹಾಸಭಾ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು ಸಂಘಟನೆ, ಅದೊಂದು ಹಿಂದೂ ಮಹಾಸಭಾದ ಒಂದು ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅವರೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ 9 ದಿವಸಗಳ ರಾಮಚರಿತ ಮಾನಸ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಅಭಿಯಾನವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದರ ಕೊನೆಯ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರೊಂದು ರಾಮಲಲ್ಲ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯನ್ನ ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದೇ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಸಂಘರ್ಷಗಳಿಗೆ ಕಾರಣ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೊಂದು ಪವಾಡವಾಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಂಥದ್ದು ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಂತರ ಅದನ್ನ ಬಂದ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅದೇ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ KK ನಾಯರ್ ಈಗ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರ ನಂತರ ವಿಚಾರಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೇಳಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೊದಲಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಅಬ್ದುಲ್ ಮಜೀದ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಇದೇ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಿಕಲ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಅನ್ನು ತರಬೇಕಂತ ಬಯಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಂತ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣಿಸಂನ ಪ್ರತಿಪಾದಕರು ಇದೇ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಭಾರತೀಯ ಜನತಾ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ತರ್ತಾರೆ. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳನ್ನ ಕ್ರೋಢೀಕರಿಸಿ ಒಂದು ಮತ ಧ್ರುವೀಕರಣ ಮಾಡಿ ಈ ಭಾರತವನ್ನ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವ ವಿಚಾರ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪಸ್ ಫ್ರಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇವತ್ತು ಕೇಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನ ತೀರ್ಪು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಈಗ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಕಾನೂನಿನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಾಗಿ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಪು ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಆಧಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ತೀರ್ಪು ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಲ್ಲಿನ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ಗಳ ಆಧಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ತೀರ್ಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಅದೇ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ ಅದೇ ತೀರ್ಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಎವಿಡೆನ್ಸ್, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಂಬಿಕೆಗಳ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ತೀರ್ಪನ್ನು ಕೊಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಮತ್ತು ಅದೇ ತೀರ್ಪಿನ ಕೊನೆ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಅದು ನಂಬಿಕೆಗಳ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಮೊದಲು 2 ಸಲ ಅದೇ ತೀರ್ಪಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ 1949 ಆದಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆ ಅದು ವೈಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೂಲ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು, ವೈಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಲಾ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾನೂನಿನ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಆದಂತ ಘಟನೆ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಮಾತ್ರ 1992 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೇ ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದ್ ಅನ್ನು ಡೆಮಾಲಿಷ್ ಕೂಡ ಅದು ಕಾನೂನಿನ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾಗಿತ್ತು ಮತ್ತು ವೈಲೇಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ರೂಲ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ಯಾವುದು 2 ಘಟನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟತೆಯನ್ನು ಅವರು ಕೊಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದೇ ಆ ಒಂದು 2 ವೈಲೇಷನ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ತಕ್ಕದಾದಂತಹ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರಕಟ ಮಾಡುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಕೊನೆಯದಾಗಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಡೆಮಾಲಿಷ್ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಥಳವನ್ನ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುತ್ವದ ಮೆಜಾರಿಟೇರಿಯನಿಸಮ್ನ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗ ಇದೆ. ಬಹುತ್ವ ರಾಜಕಾರಣದ ಒಂದು ಭಾಗವಾಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಿಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕೆಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೀಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಓಕೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಒಂದು ಏನು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಧಾನಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಸಮಾಧಾನದಿಂದ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಮುಂದೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಕೂಡ ಇವರು ಇದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಒಂದು ವಾದವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಹಿಂದೂಗಳಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಗಳನ್ನ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಈ ಭಾರತೀಯರ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನವನ್ನು ಅವರು ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾವಿಲ್ಲಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಒಂದು ತೀರ್ಪು ನಾನು ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಬಾಡಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಮಾತ್ರ. ಆ ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ, ಸಂವಿಧಾನದ ವಿರುದ್ಧವಾದಂತಹ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ತೀರ್ಮಾನಗಳನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಾಗ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಈ ಭಾರತೀಯ ಪ್ರಜೆಗಳಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಆ ಒಂದು ಸಂವಿಧಾನವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮತ್ತು ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಜಾತ್ಯತೀತತೆಯನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋರಾಟ ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬದುಕಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಖಾತರಿ ಆದಾಗ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅದೇ ನ್ಯಾಯ ಖಾತರಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳೇ ಅನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕೂಡ ಆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನ ಪ್ರತಿರೋಧಿಸುವಂತ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೇಲಿದೆ. ಆ ಅನ್ಯಾಯದ ವಿರುದ್ಧ ಕೇಳಿ ನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನ ಕೇಳುವಂತ, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಕ್ಕುಗಳನ್ನ ಕೇಳುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಯುವಕರ ಮೇಲಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ನಾನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾ ಮುಂದೆ ಕೂಡ ಇದನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು, ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಕೇವಲ ಒಂದು ಬಾಬರಿ ಮಸ್ಜಿದ್ ಪ್ರಕರಣ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಜಾತ್ಯತೀತ ಭಾರತದ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಕರಣ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಜಾತ್ಯತೀತತೆಯನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಖಂಡಿತವಾಗಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋರಾಡೋಣ. ಮಾತ್ರವಲ್ಲ, ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಟ್ಟು, ಜನರ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ಭಾರತೀಯರಿಗೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ಹೇಳೋಣ. ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ಹೇಳಿ ಈ ನ್ಯಾಯವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ನಾವು ಮುಂದೆ ಕೂಡ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಹೋಗೋಣ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾ ನನ್ನ ಒಂದೆರಡು ಮಾತನ್ನು ಮುಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, ಜೈ ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್.
ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಸೆಷನ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಏನಾದರೂ ಕ್ವಶನ್ಸ್ ಇದ್ದರೆ ರೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ವರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು,